All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Michael Burke with Interdyne BMI, and we just have a few housekeeping items to go over. The first of which is a view of our free upcoming webinars hosted throughout November, in case there are any on here that interest you that you haven't yet seen. You can find more information about each webinar on the events page on our website, and this is also where you'll find a link for registration. The next upcoming webinar is next Tuesday, the 22nd, and we'll focus on GP year-end. What is in it, who needs it, and when do I need to do this? And next, we're having a webinar series focused on payroll. In November, this includes 3 webinars, plus blogs, tweets, articles, and more. So if you're currently using payroll or thinking about using it, make sure to keep out an eye for communication regarding this. The next webinar in the series is November 29th, and we'll focus on payroll and HR Smart List Suite. Also, we're excited to announce that we'll be rolling out a retail webinar series, so make sure you're signed up for the dates below. These are occurring once a month and will take off December and February. And we are covering a variety of topics, but if you're interested in something that you don't see here, then send us a message and we can take a look at adding it to the schedule. And next, join Interdyne BMI for everything you need to get ready for your year-end closing. This includes 16 different webinars and training, all designed to get our clients ready for their closing. The next coming webinar is next Tuesday and Wednesday, so check out our events page on our website for more details on both of these. And in addition to that, we're also planning on having 4 online Dynamics GP year-end classes, which each session being about 2 hours, so we can dive a little bit deeper into the information. We are still finalizing the agenda, so please make sure to check the events page once again for more information and the link for registration. The first webinar of the series is scheduled for December 6th at 10 a.m. Central Time. And next, now is the time to buy if you're thinking about adding new users for GP or NAV. You can get up to 35% off from now until December 21st, So please email marketing@Interdyne BMI if you're interested in finding out more information. And finally, today we'll be focusing on BI360. The Business Intelligence Suite, web-based budgeting and forecasting for Dynamics. And your presenter today will be Oh-Hee Chu from Solver. And the last items to go over here is we started the call by muting everyone. So if you have any questions during today's presentation, please use the question box feature or the raised hand icon, which are both located on the dashboard on the right-hand side of your screen. We will be recording this session and uploading to YouTube. And lastly, we'll have some Q&A with the presenter at the end of the webinar, which will be covering all the questions that have been submitted. And that should cover all the housekeeping, so I will change it back over to you here, and I will let you know when we can all see your screen.
All right. So thank you for the introduction. Like Michael mentioned, my name is Oh-Hee Chu, and I am excited to demonstrate our comprehensive BI solution for you today. Just to give you a little background on our company, Solver is headquartered out of Los Angeles, and we're a fast-growing company. We have partnered with many great companies like Interdyne BMI to grow our customer base. We have over 1,400 customers in over 40 countries. We have offices all over the world in the US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and India. Our company product, BI360, is a business intelligence solution that has won many awards over the years. We have been included in the prestigious Gartner Group Magic Quadrant for corporate performance management for the past couple of years. We are honored to be a part of it again this year. So why does BI360 win all these awards? It's because customers choose our product time and time again because it is extremely easy to use. It's a complete self-service business intelligence suite, and we have deep integrations built across many ERP platforms. So what does BI360 do? Well, BI360 is a business intelligence tool that enables you to design reports and budget templates in Excel, but you have the option to deploy through the web. BI360 offers automated budgeting and forecasting with workflow and robust security. And because BI360 is a self-service suite, it eliminates the need to ask IT for assistance to manage your BI solution. All right, so BI360 consists of the following modules: reporting, budgeting, dashboards, data warehouse, and the web portal. I will now go into each of the modules to give a high-level summary of what it can do. So the first module is our reporting tool. This is our Excel designer. BI360 is an Excel add-in that gives you the ability to design reports and budget templates. So because BI360 is an Excel add-in tool, you can utilize all of Excel's features like graphs, formulas, and formatting to build a BI360 template. It's extremely easy, user-friendly, and uses a simple drag-and-drop functionality that will enable you to control your rows and columns and slice and dice your report however you want. You have the ability to design your report straight out of a live integration from your ERP data source. We have live integrations built for all of the Dynamics suite like GP, Nav, SL, etc. And what we did was we translated all of the table names, so whether it's from the financial module or the subledger modules, we translated the table names into plain English so that it could be easy for a business user to identify the fields to drag and drop it in a report design. And then once these report templates are designed in Excel, it can get pushed out to the web portal for deployment. All right, so the next module is the budgeting module, and it's very much married to the reporting module in the sense that all of the budget templates are created using the Excel designer. So users can input budget amounts via an Excel mode or the web portal mode and have it automatically save budget data back to the data warehouse with the push of a button. We also have a live ERP budgeting option where you can push budget data directly back to an ERP table. Now the focus of today's webinar is on budgeting, so I will go through in extensive detail on some of the budgeting templates that we offer. All right, so because these input templates are designed using our Excel-based report designer, there's a lot of flexibility with creating the input templates, based calculations. And so I know many business users use Excel to do budgeting, but rather it being a manual Excel process where you may be linking links, spreadsheets together, and those links break. BI360 will automate that budgeting process, and everything will be database driven. We offer pre-built and user-definable input templates, so payroll, operational expense, capital expenditures, etc. Or you can easily build one from scratch so that's customized exactly to your needs. So with budgeting, we have workflow capabilities that track where users are in their budget process as well. Right. And the next module is the web portal. It's a single portal for all end users' needs, whether it's running a dashboard, report, or doing budget entry from the web. All the reports and budget templates that you design in Excel can get pushed out to the web portal for an end user to run from anywhere at any time for planning, analysis, and decision making. The web portal also comes in a mobile app where you can run reports on the go. The data warehouse is the last module that I'll talk about before I go into the architecture slide, but this is where you can bring in multiple data sources to provide the organization with a single version of the truth. The data warehouse, you can do consolidations, currency translations, you can set up trees, and many more. Now this is a simplified architecture diagram that gives you an overview of how all of the BI360 modules fit together and also how all of the data flows from one module to another. So starting from the reporting and dashboards module here, you can build reports and dashboards directly from your ERP data source. So again, whether it's Dynamics, any of the Dynamic products, or Intact, you have that live integration. So if you make a journal entry change in your ERP, the reports and dashboards will automatically update it. All right? However, if you plan on bringing in multiple data sources into the data warehouse, whether it's CRM, payroll, or any other data source that you have. It can even be an internal data source, data warehouse that you manage. You can bring that into our BI360 data warehouse, where you consolidate all of your data sources so that users can get access to all their data from a single location and get one version of the truth. So once all of the data sources are pushed into the data warehouse, you have the ability to run reports and build budget templates off of that data. So the dotted line here from this budgeting module that you see shows that you can push budget data directly into the data warehouse automatically via the budget templates. All right, so now that we discussed at a high level the components that make up the BI360 solution, I'm going to do a live demonstration of our BI360 product. I'm going to start by demonstrating the web portal, which contains, budget templates, dashboards, and reports. Then I'll move into the Excel portion where I demonstrate how easy it is to build a budget template from scratch. I will then conclude the demo and open up the floor for any questions. So I'm going to get out of presentation mode here and go into our web portal. So I have Internet Explorer open on my local machine where I don't even have BI360 installed. I typed in my user credentials with just single sign-on and based off of Active Directory. And you can set security around the user's profile. You can set security based off of department, company. You can even get granular at the account level. So if you want to limit user from seeing specific payroll related information, you can even set security around at the account level. And so as soon as I log in, it will automatically apply to all of the dashboards, budget templates, and reports that are available on the web. All right, and so over here to the left, we have folders. You can create as many of these folders as you want to group your data. So you can have a folder for your financial reports, folder for your budgeting templates, a separate folder for your forecasting templates, and you can even limit what users will be able to have access to these folders. All right, and you can even favorite your most commonly used items. So the nice thing about favoriting an item is you can easily toggle through your other favorited items down below here. Okay, so like I mentioned, the web portal consists of dashboards, reports, and budget templates. So I'm going to actually start with some forecasting budgeting examples today. So this is an example of a departmental forecast template. It was originally created with our Excel-based report designer, so that's why you'll notice the rows and columns. And so again, designing budget templates out of our Excel-based report designer gives you all of Excel's formulas that you can use to do any complex modeling, any driver-based calculations. And then with our drag and drop functionality, you can pick the exact fields that you want to budget for, and you will also have the ability to slice and dice your budget template however you want. So in this particular example, it's a monthly forecast. If you want to tweak it so that it's a quarterly forecast, you can easily do so. If you want it yearly, 5-year, 10 years, you can easily do that. And then all budget templates are driven by parameters that you see here. And again, these parameter options can be customized to however you want to slice and dice the budget template. And this is where security would apply. So if I'm an end user, I'm a budget manager, and I'm responsible for budgeting for Department 200, that's the only thing I'll even be able to see when I hit this drop-down button. All right, and you can even do a combination of a security. So if it's a specific company and department, security would kick in as well. So with this particular forecast template, you can even budget against a specific forecast version or budget version. It's simply just a naming convention that you come up with, and then you can budget against that when you select it in the parameter option. All right, so I just want to show you how this forecasting template works. So right now it's displaying actual data all the way up to September because that's what the period criteria is. But if I change this to, say, I'll just change it to May so you can see it. If I hit this refresh button, it now displays actual data up until May, and it will allow me to forecast for the remaining periods of the year. Now, any cell that's colored in yellow is where an end user would go in to do budget entry. So I can type directly into the cells in the for the budget forecasting piece. But for the actuals, it's pulling in, the actuals. But with this, I can now drill down to see the details of the actual numbers. All right, and then if I want to change this, say I'm forecasting for October, I just select the date, and if I hit refresh, it will automatically adjust dynamically. So now it's pulling up actuals up until October, and it's going to allow me to forecast for the remaining periods of the year. So like I said, you can type directly into the cells, or if you want to drag this number across the columns, you can do that, similar to what you can do in Excel. Or if you want to incorporate like a simple formula where, for the month of December, it's going to be a 20% increase from the prior month, I can type formulas directly into the cell. Okay, so once you're done doing the forecast entry, all you do is hit the Store Data button, and this forecasting data will automatically get pushed into the budget database. All right, so one thing to know in this forecasting template is there's this Directions tab. So, because this template was originally created in Excel, this is just an extra tab that you can include in any of your budget templates or reports to give directions for the end user on how the template works, where they need to do the budget entry, etc. All right, so now I'm going to go show you some other examples. I'll start by showing you our operational expense template. So same thing, design in Excel, so you can control your rows and columns. Also driven by parameters here that you can customize, so you can slice and dice this budget template however you want. And same thing, you can, if you plan on budgeting for multiple budget versions, you just have to come up with a naming convention, and you can select which budget version you want to budget against. All right, so this particular template brings in prior year actuals over to the side, so you can use that for reference. And then for this template, this is an annual budget, so you have the option to budget for the full year. So similar to the forecasting template, you can type numbers directly into the cells like I'm doing now. You can drag this number across. Or what you can do is if you right-click on a particular account, so say the office supplies account, it's going to open up this spreading window. Now, there's a lot that you can do here. If you want to populate your form so that it pulls in prior year actuals as a starting point, you can do that. If you hit this history query, it will automatically populate your prior year actuals, so you can use that as a starting point. And then from there, if you want to do like a 10% increase, hit apply. That calculation will automatically apply. You can do like an even distribution if you want. Hit even. Right. Goes in, and it will even do a custom spread as well. Another thing that you can do from this window is add in line item details. So you can add in as many line item details as you want. So it depends. Pencils. Okay, and in addition to the line item details, you can even store comments. So you can do something like blue pens. All right, so once you're done doing the budget entry and you save this form by simply clicking the Store Data icon over here, it will also save the line item details and the comments associated with the particular budget account. So when you're, because you push budget data into the data warehouse, anything you push in, you can spit it back out in a detailed budget report that will also display the line item details in the comments, and you can even build a budget dashboard off of this budget data that you just pushed in. All right, and by the way, all these templates that I'm going through, they're all available for download as well, so that you don't have to, worry about building templates from scratch. All right, so the next example that I want to show is our payroll template, and I like to show this because there's a lot that goes into it. It's based off of assumptions. There's a lot of calculations that go into it, so I just like to show this example just to show you the ability that BI360 you can bring in a lot of complexities into the template. So this is an example of an assumptions form where you have the various payroll taxes like FICA, FUTA, SUTA, etc. Any benefits that you offer, it'll get listed out here, so vision benefits, dental benefits, etc. But you're not limited to just payroll assumptions. You can really build in assumptions on anything. So if you do capital expenditure budgeting, you can have capital life assumptions here. You can even incorporate like travel assumptions. If organization does any traveling, you can, enter in typical airfare costs across the various countries that you may operate in. So again, assumptions are not limited to just, payroll assumptions. You can really build up assumptions off of anything. So just like any of the forecasting or budgeting templates, you just input amounts into the yellow cells, and then when you're done, you hit the Store Data button. So now all of these assumptions are going to get pushed into the database, which we will now retrieve in our payroll template to do all the various calculations. So I'm now going to go into our payroll template here. So again, this is just an example. I may not capture everything that you do with your payroll budgeting, but because these templates are designed out of our Excel-based designer, you will have the ability to customize it however you want. So I'm going to start off and budget for a new hire CEO, and there are various drivers here. And so if there's a particular field that you want to budget against that you don't see in this template, it's a simple matter of just creating that field name in our data warehouse. And once the field name is created in the data warehouse, you can drag and drop it into this template. So this is where you can really customize your templates to exactly what you need. So here I'm going to hit this drop down to do a start date, hire month, and end month. September, enter hours, and salary amount here. All right, so you'll notice that because I selected February to September as the working periods, it now only populates salary for those months. If I change one of these drop downs to, let's say, March, or let's say April, you'll notice that it adjusted automatically. So if I scroll over to the right, it has the FICA, FUTA, SUTA calculations. So this FICA rate that you see here, it's not a manual Excel number that I typed somewhere in a spreadsheet. It's actually pulling straight from the database, and this amount was originally entered from the assumptions form that I showed you earlier. So this is again where yes, the BI360 templates look very similar to Excel, and that's because it was designed with our Excel-based designer, but you're no longer doing a manual process where you're pointing to different spreadsheets and those links break. Everything is database driven and automated. All right, so if I scroll even further, I have my FUTA, SUTA, and then there's this benefits section. So currently for this new hire, it's displaying $0 for the benefits, and that's because we didn't turn the benefits feature on. So if I go back into this area here, there's a column that said, hey, is this employee eligible for benefits, yes or no? So there's this drop down I can hit, and even this drop down that you see here is actually an Excel feature that we've incorporated into our BI360 template. This is part of data validation where you can, type in your options so that you don't have to worry about users doing typos into the input cells. All right, so you'll notice that once I hit yes in this cell W22 here, if I scroll over to the right for the benefit side, it will now populate the benefits amount. So same thing like the FICA rates, this $550 amount is pulling straight from the database, and it was originally, this amount was entered through the assumptions form. So this is actually just a simple Excel if formula that's behind this, that's driving the display of the benefits amount. It's what the formula is doing. It's saying, hey, equals if cell W22 here displays Y, then display the benefits amount that gets displayed here. So again, we're utilizing Excel formulas to drive our templates. All right, so if I scroll even further, this is where it does the full-time headcounts. So just like all the other budget templates, once I hit the Store Data button, the top piece here will get stored to the payroll module, so all the employee-related information like the title, the start date, any bonus increases, salary amount, that all gets stored to the payroll module. But over here down below, it aggregates all of the payroll information and dumps it into its respective GL summary account. And then this piece where I've highlighted will get stored to the GL summary module. All right, so I'm just going to go through a couple of other examples for budgeting. So we have, just to kind of show you the examples that we have like a capital expenditure form, revenue form. So again, these are all available for download. So I'll just quickly go through what our capital expenditure form looks like. I don't know if you remember from the assumptions form, but there was a section where you can enter the life of a year of a capital in there, and so that piece will drive, the depreciation that goes on in this template. So this particular template, you select what the capital type, and again, these drop downs, it's just a simple Excel feature that we've incorporated, so you don't have to worry about users doing any typos into these input templates. And you can even select which department it's going to. Right, and any descriptions, and it automatically populates the life of the year of this building. And again, this is pulling from the database, which is entered from the assumptions form. If I select my purchase month as May or as June, the price here, it will automatically spit it into this respective month column. And then if I scroll over to the right, it will do the depreciation automatically based off of the criteria that you set. This particular template uses straight line. So same thing like the payroll template. Once you save this form, this top piece will get stored to the capital module, whereas down below it will get stored to the GL summary side. All right, so for all of these budget templates that you see on the web, we have a workflow process that will keep track of where a user is in the budgeting. You can assign specific forms to specific users. So for example, like a payroll form gets assigned to Sarah, the OpEx form gets assigned to John. You can set assignment windows around these forms. So if you do your budgeting the first week of September, then these templates are open for that first week of September only. Once a week is over, users can no longer type any numbers into the yellow color cells. In addition, you can keep track of where a user is in the budget process. Like if they open up the template, that will show that as a status. If they've submitted budget numbers and it gets sent to an admin person for approval, an admin person can either accept or reject the budget numbers. If it gets rejected, it will get sent back to the original submitter. So we have a workflow process that keeps track of all of that. So once you input budget data in to the data warehouse via these templates that I've showed you, you can now view reports. You can even view dashboards off of the budget data. So I'm now going to transition and to show you some of the reporting features that's on the web. All right, so I'm just going to go back to the main page here. So this is an example of a report, again, designed with Excel Report Designer. And in this particular report, it has graphs. And so this is, again, just an Excel graph that we've incorporated into this BI360 report. But this is a report that compares actuals versus budget amounts. So, the budget entry that you've just inputted through the templates that I showed you, you can now retrieve it back in a report form. You can even select which budget version you want to compare your actuals against. So if I execute this report based off of parameters, I have the ability to drill down into the amounts. Okay. This report you can also execute on your mobile device, and you will also have the ability to drill down directly from your mobile device. So because this report was originally created in Excel, you can download it back as an Excel file. You can even share it directly from the web portal. You can send it as an email. But like I said, you can download it as an Excel file or even as a PDF. But if I save this onto my desktop here, I can open it back up. All right, and so you'll notice that all the column widths were maintained, so you don't have to worry about changing the column widths to make it fit on your screen. The formatting is kept, and even the formulas are kept. So what users like to do at this point is to do what-if analysis, because you can play around with these numbers without worrying about making changes to the actual database. And you'll notice that as I'm making these changes, even the graphs and charts up here at the top will adjust. All right, so going back into the web portal, so far we've discussed budgeting templates and reports. Now I'm going to show you an example of a dashboard. So this is an example of a revenue dashboard. Same thing, driven by parameters here. But here, this is where you have the option to either view actual data or budget data based on the budget data that you've just inputted. So, so the nice thing about BI360 is you truly have a lot of flexibility with how you slice the report, how you want to view your data, and you can even view it in a nice visually formatted dashboard. So all dashboards have drill down capabilities. So this is a revenue by company. So if I click on a specific company, US, then you'll notice that the other graphs down below have adjusted to only show US information, and it now drills to show quarterly information. So you can even customize what that drill down view would be. So if you want to buy account or if you want to buy something else, you can easily do that. So what's nice about the web portal is that whether you're doing budget entry, and then after you do your budget entry, you want to see it in a report format, or if you want to even see it in a dashboard format, you can do so with a single tool. You don't have to, go in and out of various tools to see all your data. You could easily do it in the web portal, and actually I just stayed on this one page and just toggled through my favorite items down below. So it just makes it extremely easy for an end user to do analysis on the web portal. All right, so now what I'm going to do is transition into our Excel-based report designer to show you how the budgeting templates or report is created. So what I have open is the Excel application. I'm just going to connect to the BI360 reporting tab here. And like I mentioned, we have the ability to build reports directly off of your ERP or the data warehouse. So this is where you can select what your data source is, and as you can see, we have integrations built for a lot of the Dynamics product. But then if you want to build reports or do budgeting templates off of the data warehouse where you bring in multiple data sources, you can do that as well. So while that's loading, you'll notice that majority of the screen is the Excel application that you're already familiar with. So you have access to all of Excel toolbars, so the formatting, you can easily incorporate into BI360. All right, anyone with a power user license will have access to this design pane. And all of the data sources that you bring over to the data warehouse will be listed out as a module here. So, if you bring in payroll data, payroll will have its own module. You can even bring in data like Google Analytics if you want to keep track of, how many people visit your website. If you bring that data over to the data warehouse, you can now build reports off of it. So if I go into this Google Analytics module, you'll now see fields related to the module, fields like pages per visit, new visits, average time on page in seconds. So all of the fields will be listed for you to drag and drop into a report design. So for this webinar, I'm actually going to just build out a simple trial balance report. But whether you're designing a report or a budget template, the concept is the same. It's just all drag and drop. All right. So when I'm building this trial balance report, all of my formatting is done through Excel. So customers really love this because they don't need to learn a new tool. All right, but this is where that drag and drop concept comes into play. So in my trial balance, what fields do I want to see? I want to see my natural account field. So I'm going to look for that field on my list of options here, and I just drag and drop it in. This is where you can control your rows and columns. So if you want this information to expand on the rows, then you would say, hey, make it a row expansion. So I also want to see my account descriptions. And last but not least, I want to see my amount field. Okay, so I'm actually going to run this so you can see what it looks like. All right, so when I execute this report, I have my account codes, the descriptions, and the amount. If I right-click on an amount, you have the ability to drill down in this Excel mode here, so you can drill down at the summary level or the detail level. So you'll notice when I drill down at the summary level, it's pulling in all sorts of data. It's even pulling in data going all the way back to 2012. And that's because we didn't place any filters on our report yet. So I'm going to slowly add in filters so that we can slice and dice this report to the exact level of granularity that we want. But before I do that, I'm going to add in a little total line here so that I can ensure my trial balance nets to 0. And again, all formulas are done using Excel formulas, so hopefully equal sum is a formula everyone's already familiar with. Just going to do some quick formatting as I go. All right, so you'll notice that my formula right now is set up as sum E5 to E6, these two rows. But when I execute my report and I go to my total line here, you'll notice that the total sum is expanded to go all the way down to row 117 because it dynamically adjusts the formula when the report is executed. All right, so what I'm going to do now is actually transition this report into a simple P&L report so that you can see how easy it is to go about selecting your filters. So I'm going to start off by building out the revenue side in this report. All right, and so there are several ways I can go about selecting my revenue accounts. I can hit this lookup icon and it'll populate all of my accounts coming straight from my ERP. There's this option called Use Ranges. If you highlight accounts and hit this Use Ranges option, anytime you create a new account in your ERP that happens to fall within this range, BI360 will automatically pick it up. So in terms of report maintenance, it's really nice because you don't have to go into all 10, 20 of your reports anytime a new account code is created. As long as it falls within this range, BI360 will automatically pick it up. You can do things like, account begins with 4, or any wildcards, etc. You can even, if you have your accounts mapped to like an account category, you can filter directly off of that field. So I'm going to drag and drop account category into my filter area, and I can even select revenue, and it'll populate all my revenue accounts. So several ways you can go about selecting your account filters. You can even do a combination of dimensions. So say for whatever reason your revenue amounts comes from a specific department, then you just drag and drop the department in, and you can do like a combination of filters as well. All right, so now if I execute my report, it only shows my revenue counts. So I'm just going to quickly build out the rest of the simple P&L report. We highly recommend copy and pasting. One, to minimize user error, because all you have to do is just change the heading and then change the filters behind it. So I'm going to select my expense accounts here. I'm going to use my account category field to do this part. All right, last but not least, I'm going to do a net income calculation, and this part is 100% Excel because it's just revenue total minus expense total. All right, so I have revenue, expense, and net income. So now that I've built out my rows, I can now build out my columns. So depending on how you want this report to look, so you can, if you want it broken up by departments going across the columns, you just drag and drop department in and make it a column expansion. If you want it by your various companies, or if you want it by line of business, etc., whatever it is, you just you can control your columns that way. So I'm just going to drag in my period here and quickly format this so that it's aligned to so that my months get displayed, my years. All right, and so with my period field, I actually want to make a parameter out of it. That way an end user can run this report for a specific month. So you can create a parameter off of any of these dimensions that's listed out. And again, it all goes to how you want the end user to slice and dice the report. So if you want to give an end user the option to run this report for a specific department, then you would create a department parameter. If you want it by a specific company, you would create a company parameter. Once you create a parameter, it's going to show up as a prompt. So again, giving the user the flexibility to run this report for whatever criteria. If I want to run this report for 2015-05, it now gives me May data only. So with periods, there's a lot that you can do, and with our functions. And these functions come in handy when you're building a budget template, because this is where you can determine if you want to do like an annual budget and you want all 12 months of the year displayed, or if you want to do like a forecast where it's going to bring in actual year-to-date of actual and then remaining periods of the year for your forecast. This is where the functions come into play. So say I want to build a template, budgeting template, where I'm going to budget for the full year. Then we have a function for that called this year all. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to drag and drop this year all function in to my column. So now if I execute my report and run it for period 2015-05, it recognizes the year that I'm in, which is 2015-05, and it's going to allow me to, it pulls in the full year of 2015. If I change this to 2014-05, even though I'm running this for May, it again recognizes the year that I'm in, and it's going to give me the full 12 months. So this, comes in handy when you're designing a budget template and you want to budget for the full year. All right, but if you want to budget, for the next year, we have a function for that. You would just drag and drop it in. If you want to, do like a comparison of current period versus prior year period, again, the functions come in really handy because it's easy to just drag and drop it into your templates. So far we now have filters at the row level, filters at the column level. You can even have filters going across at the sheet level. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to actually create a parameter for the entity dimension, and we have a tree set up for that, so I'm going to turn that on. Alright, so because I created an entity tree parameter, now if I go into my Run tab, it's going to ask me which entity tree I want to run. So with our data warehouse, you have the ability to maintain as many trees as you want for dimension. And then so if I blow up this tree here, it shows you the entire tree structure with the consolidated level up at the top and all the various roll-ups down below. So I'm going to actually run this Western Hemisphere node. If I run this node, it's going to produce 3 tabs. One for the Western Hemisphere rollup that combines Canada and US data into a single tab, and then Canada and US will get its own respective tab. So here's my Western Hemisphere that consolidates Canada and US, and then Canada and US will get its own tab. If I want to run it at the consolidated level, I can do that as well. So it's going to now produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs for each node of the tree. So this is really powerful because it's taking a single tab report and it's blowing it up into a multi-tab report, all based on what the user selects in this tree parameter. And then of course security applies in the sense that if my end user and I only have access to see Western Hemisphere data, that's the only thing I'll be able to even select. So here we have the full-blown tree, consolidated tab, and then the Asia roll-up. I have Asia and Europe, and here's my Western Hemisphere with respective countries getting its own tab. So to tie this back to the beginning of the presentation where I started off in the web portal, once you design a template, whether it's a report template or a budgeting template, you like the way it looks, then all you do is hit this upload report button and it'll get pushed out to the web for anyone to view through like an internet browser or even through a mobile device. Another option that you have with like report distribution is you have the ability to publish a report. So if I hit this publish button, it now opens up a new Excel spreadsheet, and this is a flat file, so there's no BI360 functionality behind it, no drill down capability, just a flat file. So I can save this, I can save it as PDF, and then I can email this off to someone outside of my organization that may not have a BI360 license. And then the third way you can distribute reports is we have a publisher tool. The publisher tool can combine reports like a balance sheet, P&L, cash flow into like a monthly board package. And then you can specify who's going to receive the reports and how, whether it's going to get sent directly to their inbox or to a shared network drive or even SharePoint. And then the powerful thing with our publisher tool is you can schedule reports so that's automatically distributed. If it goes out once a month, you set that schedule. You don't ever have to touch the reports. The publisher tool will automatically generate the reports for you. So 3 options for report distribution. So while I'm in Excel, I know I showed you, an example of how to build a report template, but I also want to show you some examples of what budgeting templates look like in the Excel mode. So again, you have 2 options with BI360. You have the ability to build your templates and then push it out to the web for an end user to do budget entry directly from the web. But I know there are a lot of folks that just love Excel. They want to stay in Excel. So you also have that option too. So this is an example of the payroll template that I showed you on the web, but this is like the Excel version of it. So you'll notice that all the features are kept, but just the end user experience is through Excel. So same thing, you type directly into these yellow colored cells, and then once you're done with doing the budget entry, all you do is hit the Save Data button, and it'll automatically push your budget data to the data warehouse even from this Excel mode here. All right, and actually once it's done storing, I'll kind of show you like the back end of all the formulas that go on to do the drivers and the calculations in Excel.
Hey, OE.
Yes?
I just wanted to let you know that we got about 10 minutes left, and we do have a good amount of questions in the bank.
Okay, all right, then I will actually take some of those questions then.
Okay, you want to do them now then?
Yeah, I was just gonna show how you can store it, but yeah, let's take the questions now.
Okay, perfect. So the first one we got here is, can you use this to create forms that can add data to GP and SQL databases? And is there workflow and approval with that input?
So great question. So we actually have a new feature. We call it ERP web budgeting, but I'll actually open that up. But you can actually write budget data directly back to your GP tables with our in the web portal. However, the budget write-back is limited to just GL summary data. And so, you know, so everything that I showed you so far on the web with the budgeting entry, with the spreading options, you know, the workflow, the security, it all applies. But you are just limited to doing budget entry at the GL summary level. But once I hit the store data button, it'll automatically push to the GP tables. So even the line item details and the comments, it automatically gets stored. Do budgeting outside of the GL summary, say you want to do payroll, any of that, you can use our data warehouse to do the budgeting, and then what you can do is you can, you know, push the final budget amounts into GP through like a manual upload.
Okay, great. The next one we have here is, can capital templates handle mid-year convention depreciation in addition to the straight line you mentioned?
Yeah, so the mid-year convention, that formula and how it's set up, that would just have to be configured into the template, which can easily be done through Excel. Once you set that up, you can, you know, definitely do that kind of depreciation in your templates, and it automatically does it for you.
Perfect. The next question here is, can you import employee information from an outside payroll program, such as Kronos, to populate all the payroll information in the budget module?
Yes, and that is how we do all of the initial payroll setup, because a lot of these payroll tools won't allow us to build a direct integration. So it does start with like doing like a manual dump of all the employee names and employee titles, and it's all done through our data warehouse, and I'll show you how easy it is to do it in our data warehouse. We have a section called Data Explorer, and as long as the data is in a specific format, like the one that I'm showing you here, where, you know, it has employee code and their titles, and it's for a specific entity, specific department, as long as it's in this format in a spreadsheet, you can import that file in directly into the data warehouse, and that's how we start to do the payroll upload for the payroll templates.
Perfect. Next question here is, you mentioned the FICA rate is hard-coded into the template. How do you change the FICA ceiling, which changes each year?
So that is all controlled through our assumptions form. So let me pull that up here. So assumptions form is where you would go in and to enter the FICA rates. You can set a maximum amount. And so, you know, you mentioned it changes every year, and you're exactly right. So you'll, so say you enter the 2016 rates, and then it drives, you know, the payroll calculations for 2016. In a couple of months, it's going to turn 2017. So this is where I would go in and select 2017-01 as the budget year, and then I'll enter in my rates, and it gets saved for the 2017 year. So this is how everything is automated, everything is database driven, and you can maintain FICA rates for the various years, and BI360 will be able to track all of that.
Perfect.
Great question.
Next one here is, you mentioned when you save, the data is pushed to the budgeting database. Is that the ERP database or the BI360 data warehouse?
So great question. So like I said, with our software, there's two options. With our live ERP budgeting, you can push it straight to the GP tables at the summary level. So in that case, the budget database would be directly GP or the ERP source. But if you do our enterprise budgeting, everything gets pushed straight to the data warehouse.
Okay, next question here. Is there any indication on the budget template of the existence of notes or line details which may have been created?
Yeah, so let me open up that operational expense form. So I'm sure you saw me enter line item details through that spreading window. I'll just show you this again. If I right click on an account, this is where I can do line item details. So in this template, because it just shows information at the summary, at the summarized level, if you notice some cells have like a thicker border around the cell, this is to indicate that there's a line item detail associated with this amount. So if I right click here, it shows you these line item details. But if I right click on this, let's see, this cell, it doesn't have a thick border around it. There should not be any line item details. And then if you want to see the line item details in a report, you would design the report where it shows you the account that is associated with it, and then there's a field called line item detail that you drag into the report, and so you can see line item details that way.
Great. The next one here is how much of the reporter functionality is included with the budget module only?
You will have access to all of the reporting features because you need the report designer tool to build your budget templates.
Easy enough. The next question here is, can you budget for a rolling 12-month period?
Yep. So I'll actually show you a list of the functions that are available that you can drag and drop. Let's see. I got a message here. Okay, so we have a list of, so the short answer is yes, and I want to show you all the other options that you have with our functions. So, rolling 12 months, rolling 3 months rolling, quarter to date, this year all, last year all, we have functions for that.
Okay, great. Next one here is, can you modify an existing template?
Yep, you can easily do so. So say I save this template, I just save it onto like my desktop. It's just like saving a regular Excel file. This report, it's pulling in 12 months of the year, but if I want to modify it where it just pulls in a single month, or if I want to modify it where it does current period versus prior year, then I would just hit this file save as, just like Excel, and then I can do the modifications and then save that new template. You can even, if you have like an existing Excel template where you have all your formatting done, you can use that as a starting point and then add in BI360 features onto that template as well.
Great. The last question we've had submitted so far is, can you pull payroll data directly from GP into BI360?
Yep. Whatever data is in GP, you have the option and the ability to bring any of that over into the data warehouse, in addition to any other data source that you may have that's outside of GP.
Well, awesome. It looks like that was all the questions that have been submitted so far. And it looks like, yeah, we're about at the end of the hour here, so maybe we should just wrap this up. Did you have anything else you wanted to cover quickly, or?
Nope, I'm done with my demo.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, if any later questions do come up, you can feel free to reach out to myself or your account executive or anyone from Solver. If you'd like to learn more about anything you heard during today's presentation, and on behalf of everyone at Interdyne BMI and Solver, we just want to thank you for your attendance and have a great rest of your day.
All right, thank you, everybody.